It's J. Hodge, the greatest and most unknown voice to the world. And Brother Polight, one thing about Brother Polight that everybody need to adopt is not idolizing or praising and worshiping false deities, man. Certain people get to a deity level in people's minds, perception, and it's very, very detrimental to do. Now, this situation with Brother Polight. One thing about Brother Polight is when you look at the specs, when you look at the specs of the situation, is wrong, no matter how you cut it. Grown man, 14-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl, hotel room, party, Miami, Florida. The specs is faulty, very faulty. The decision to choose the type of sentence that was chosen, faulty. Now, I understand being a stepfather or a father figure or fatherly role model to a young girl, but there is still limitations. There's still boundaries. If that child is not biologically yours, there's limitations, there's boundaries. Unless you earn the right. Unless you earn the right to. If you earn the right to as a man, you've been there, you've been the support, the foundation, the advisory, the mentorship, the leader. If that's different, if you earn the right to. But I'm not diving into the specifics of the relationship. What I'm going to say is, Brother Polight, I have always admired for his information. The knowledge he knows. The teachings he's been taught. The mastery of his historical knowledge of self. Knowledge of our culture, of our people, of our history. Truly. I admired the information, the words that came out. You should admire the words, the information, not the person. I never looked at him in a light of glory, like he's this glorious, sanctified man. I looked at the information he gives like that. Oh, this is some glorious information. Oh, this is some sanctified things to know about our history, about self, about origin, about facts, about heritage. It's very disruptive to your personal actions, your personal behaviors, your personal decision making, and your personal attitude. It's the information I admire. I never admired the man. I didn't worship the man. I worshiped the information. So, how everybody is obsessed right now with the current circumstance, the case, and how it's progressing and what's coming out, what's true, what's false. Listen. The truth is the truth. And truth is an internal process. It's not a public, it's a private thing. So whatever the truth of the matter is, the truth of somebody is living with the truth. And whoever's fraudulent is going to live with the fact that they fraud. But again, the specs, the setting, faulty. An extreme error in judgment, decision making, whatever. But the main thing is everybody is confused and there's a bunch of chaos because you worship the man and not the information. You admired the man highly and not the information. You regarded the man and not the information. I took him for what he knew, not for who he is, because I don't know him. And a lot of people don't know him. Unless you grew up with him. Unless you was in the streets with him or whatever. But for the most part, this case is no, it's not an honorable look. Yes, it is a detriment. It is troublesome. But it shouldn't be an obsession, because a conviction is gonna come through. And even if it's not a public conviction, private conviction is worse. That's why people drink. That's why people smoke. That's why we have these things in our community that's very, very detrimental. That's very, very endangering and harmful to our spirits. Because of personal, internal conviction. You know what you did wrong. You know where you was a fraud. You know where you was an impersonator, imposter. You know when you was grimy. You know when you was lying. You know when you was a fake or a phony. You know. And you gotta live with that. So with this situation, this case, that man gotta live with that. But in our community, that is the pitfall. That is the downfall. There is no upside in glorifying the person. Glorify the information. That's why the wealth gap is what it is. That's why so many things is what it is. It's the information you should glorify, not the actual human being. Unless that human being exudes the information they give. And they live righteously by the things that they actually do, or portray, or display. But Brother Polight, he is a very informative being, but he's not the only one. And when I was young and had no knowledge of self, yes, I knew of Brother Polight. When I was younger and I came across Louis Farrakhan for the first time, never heard the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. When I came across the Honorable for the first time, El Hajj Malik Shabazz for the first time, Michael Stokely for the first time, Dr. Ben Jacqueline for the first time, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima for the first time, Dick Gregory for the first time, Dr. Cress Welsing for the first time, Dr. Claude Anderson for the first time. I can keep going on and on. Thousands of hours of watching lectures and listening and worshiping and acknowledging and admiring and glorifying the information, not the people. But when I had all these individuals giving me the information for the first time, I wasn't intrigued by the person. I was intrigued by where they got the source of what they knew. I didn't want to glorify them or praise and worship them, I wanted to be in that same in that same position of knowledge, of information, of power over self. So when you look at this situation where there's what they claiming to be, I'm not even going to say what they claim in the situation to be, but when you look at the claims, this is another thing in a community where our men, again, need training. Just because you're highly witty and you're highly knowledgeable and intelligent doesn't mean that you have complete skills. Skills are everlasting. You will always need fine-tuning. You're going to always need maintenance. You're going to always need advisory, mentorship, sharpening. You're going to always need that. So people looked at Brother Polight like he had all the complete skills. He does not. Stop taking the videos and the frames of perfection, because that's what video is. You're framing a moment of perfection. Obviously, he's practiced. Obviously, he's been training. That's how you get that perfect. But you can't take that and just assume that this person is this, that, and the fourth. It doesn't work like that. The information is what's key. That's the treasure, not the person. We've seen this. Because with people that you consider your leader, your prophet, whatever, when you put them at a deity level, you get conflict. And here we are, crossroads. We have a conflict. You should not feel betrayed, because you shouldn't been betraying yourself in the first place by glorifying and praising and worship the person over the information. Get the info. And you be the person in your environment and in your setting and in your household that you thought he was. You pass it on. But when it comes to young girls, that is a mental malfunction in our men to acquire or to even have that vice or that preference for having a young girl. That predatory nature. And we know where it comes from, because if you are conscious and you pay attention and you're aware, you know where these things stem from. You actually know where and what period of time rape was widely acceptable and was a lifestyle, and it was pure impunity for those who did it. You know exactly who and what group. So why would you even position yourself to be of or in the likeness or in the imagery of another group who terrorize people and dehumanize people with our own children? You can't do that. It's inexcusable. And this in the setting of this whole situation is inexcusable. I'll tell you right now, Miami, Florida, no place for children at all. Especially the beach side. If you have kids and children, you going down to Miami Beach and all that, and you enjoying the amenities, it's a children's playground and playscape right on Miami Beach. If you got kids, that's where y'all should be going. There, to the beach, a restaurant, done. There's nothing else. Nothing down there is made for children, teens, whatever. And all the vices is around you to make a destructive decision. So, true or false, again, this is something in our community, in our culture, that has to be trained. You need training not to look at a young girl and think of her in the likeness of a woman. No, she's developing. She's developing. She shall not and should not be touched or under any grown man's persuasion. In a wrongful environment or setting. This is the measurement of leadership. And again, when it comes to leadership, you need to be leading your setting, your household. Stop looking at other people like they make your day-to-day decisions. Should not worship Brother Polight. Shouldn't be at a deity level. Men worship the information. That's true, G. Worship the information. Praise the information. Pass it on. Deep dive. Be analytical with it. In our community, in our culture, that stagnant, lazy, lackadaisical behavior and traits, that's what does it. That's how we get all this obsession and confusion and chaos. Like, that case alters your life. No, that case needs to be used as a training ground for the men in your family and the men around you not to end up in that predicament of such disgrace and dishonor. Because if it wasn't that, then it would never came out like this. If that was the slightest thing from the truth, if this was absolute fallacy, then it wouldn't be it wouldn't be on a docket. It wouldn't be a case. Without some sort of confidential proof, real confidence, a real confidant in the case, we understand that fallacies happen. Envy, jealousy, rage, anger, it'll cause you some, yes, when young girls get mad, they understand that they have the power to cause chaos and confusion in that manner. But a false report would quickly be resulted and turned around as a false report. It wouldn't go this far. But the thing is, it's about Brother Polight. Very witty, very intelligent, high wisdom. But that don't mean he's totally skilled. He got all the skills. No, even he needed training. And all the men in our culture and in our community need training. Our community needs training from those in our community and in our culture that already do things better than what the majority of us do. It needs to be some mentorship on that part. Because when it comes to being a father figure, a father role model, and that child is not biologically yours, you have to know the proper protocols. Unless you earn the right. And everybody close to the situation, it don't seem like the right has been earned, but that's not for anybody to make a decision on. Because if it was truly that, then it wouldn't have come to this docket. It wouldn't have come to no case number. Because a mother would shut it down. No, that's my husband. He honors my children. He loves my children. He respects my children. He raised them. He guides them. He nurtures them. This will be shut down. So understand. Some people everybody not a leader. And people can give leading information for somebody else to compound on top of it and actually be a leader with it. Because you done woke up the leadership inside somebody. So Brother Polight, motivating for sure. But leader, shouldn't be no deity or nobody that's being worshipped. Worship the information, man. Glorify and praise the information. And go and be a leader with what you know, what you found out. Go do some work on your own. Lead your environment, your setting. But this whole thing with Brother Polight, everybody too obsessed. I've never worshipped a man. Brother Polight as a man. I worship his mind, what he knew. What he knew. Not decisions he make, and not the decisions like this. I said what he knew about heritage, history, of self, of us, the training, the education, the knowledge, not the man. And that's where a lot of y'all go wrong. So really, Brother Polight shouldn't cause all this uproar. It shouldn't be all this uproar. Way much more inhumanity. We got past transgressions. There are past atrocities that people not in the uproar about. That all this chaos is not being generated about. It's past family members y'all ain't got to know because of the terror that was reigned in the past. It's the reason why our community is so disorganized and dysfunctioned at this current moment right now. Because of the past terror. The past manipulation. And now we got it still going on currently. That's the real things that take effect on the community and the culture. But this, with Brother Polight, this case, nobody's saying to let it go or not pay attention. Be aware, be attentive, because that's consciousness. Be aware, be attentive. But it shouldn't be an obsession. It's a lesson. It's a lesson, man. But like I said, in our community, in our culture, we need Training. Brother Polight needs some training from somebody that's a father figure, a father role model to a child that's not biologically theirs, and they do it with expertise without any violations or errors such as this one.